So before I start, I want to mention something that a big change that happened in chess in the last, I would say, 10 years. So in the past, if you see a strong player and you look at his game, you see somebody is like doing really well, winning a lot of games, people would be like in awe of this player. It's like, how is he doing it? Like, what's the magic? Wow, he's so good. And it would be a lot of respect for GMs and IMs. These days, we have one big change, and that is, of course, the engines. So now you watch some super strong player play, and you can turn your engine on and see that he's making mistakes, and you can say, Aronian just played this terrible move. He should have done this. So that took away the magic from chess. And unfortunately, engines can be good for your improvement, but they also can be really bad. And a lot of players, the club players, they're like, oh, engine says this, and they blindly substitute their own thinking for engine evaluation. Now, we cannot think like computers. We have to think like humans. So we have to pick up ways to improve our thinking in the ways that custom to us. So, okay. So, recently I played a game at the club against an expert player, and I'm going to show you guys the way I recommend to analyze your own games. Now, warning, it takes a lot of work, and most people are, lazy and not willing to put in the work. So I played this player, and when I came home after the game, right that night, I sat down with a chess base. In the past, people would use notebook, and I annotated every single move that was played in the game, every meaningful move. So I wrote down my thoughts on every move, what I thought at the moment, okay? And I'm not going to show you this game, but I just want to show you the way to approach it. So every move was annotated. Notice that there is not many variations here, it's just words, okay? Then the next step is, if you have access to a coach or a stronger player that you can look at the game with, go over with them. And only then turn on the engine and check the critical variations. What most people do, they don't look at their games at all. That's how you see like an 80-year-old guy who probably has like tens of thousands of games behind his belt playing the same level that he played 60 years ago. It's not the experience, he got the experience. It's just like he keeps making same mistakes and never learns. So after I analyzed the game this way, I looked at it with my coach. I do have a coach as well. And only then I looked at the game with an engine. And you see that's a very different version of exactly the same game, where I checked some critical variations here. Now, you can also use ChessBase to learn about the opponent. And I'm sure some of you know how to use it, but I'm going to show it nevertheless, how I use it. So for example, in this game, the French defense was played. And at the time, I like to play exchange variation against French defense. I do some other things now, but that was my pet variation at the time. And the move that my opponent played, bishop g4, was not a very known move to me. I knew that I have to play queen e2 check, queen e7, bishop e3, and honestly, after bishop e3, my knowledge pretty much more or less ended. So after I played this game, my thoughts are still fresh. This is the time to go back and see how players play in this variation. So you see the program I'm using called ChessBase. This is version 11. The latest version is 13. You can buy that from chessbase.com. And I have a mega database hooked up to my ChessBase, which is a database with several million chess games played by masters, starting all the way from 1600s. You see right here we have a reference tab. This reference tab shows the moves that are played in this position. And for example, here we see that the most popular move is bishop e2. We have 850 games here. This database is not up to date, but This database goes all the way through like beginning of 2015. But at the same time, we see that when white plays bishop e2, they don't score very well. They only score 36.1%. Same time, we can look at some other moves, like queen e2 is a fifth main line, which move I played only 85 games here. Scores pretty decently here. So what we can do here is we can click on LOW and sort by rating going from highest to lowest. That will allow us to see who are the top players that play this variation for white and learn from them and look at their games. So we see that this particular variation is not very popular among the top dogs. We see no Aronian or Caruana here, so that should already be a sign that this is probably not the most optimal way to play for white. However, we see some strong names like Malanyuk and some other 24-2500 GMs. And what I usually do, if I'm playing this as white, I'm gonna pick the games where white won. Why is that? Because I want to see how the strong player played it in such a way that he defeated his opponent. What are the typical plans? Okay, so I'm gonna pick a game here. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna do copy to notation. And you see this game copied here. And then I can continue and go back into my database and do some more research and pull some other games. So I usually pull 4 or 5 games. I cover all the most important continuations. And then I save this in a separate file. And then I can go over the game and study and see if I can learn something from it. Okay, so like here specifically I see that the idea is to play h3 and g4 and push the bishop to g6. So if I, let's say, look at 4, 5, or 6 of his games and I see the same idea over and over, that tells me this is something probably that pretty interesting. Okay. Now, if you have your own idea, you can try it, and this is why you can use the engine, because the engine can immediately tell you if it's a blunder or not. So the tactical part will be taken care of at least. So this is what I wanted to cover: how to use ChessBase to analyze your games. Okay.
You guys have any questions for him?
Is that useful?
Any question, Jonathan? You're a French player. You're a French player.
Yeah. He didn't really go over the game though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over the games next, but I wanted to kind of focus on general approach, how to approach and learn openings and stuff like that. Okay, so next part is going to be a game that was played here at the club between 2 players that attend the club regularly.